September 10th, 2020. You know what that means? Not only do we have 2020 vision here on the state of football, but it's Thursday night football. It's the NFL season kickoff. Oh my God, we can't stop. We won't stop talking football here on the state of football. Oh my God, RSC in a place to be. Rick Saratella telling it like it is when it comes to the NFL draft and everything football since 2002. It's what we do right here, right now. My co-host John Murphy down in New Orleans. We've got David Turner, Maverick Sports over in Phoenix, Arizona, waking up early in the morning. We've got Aaron Wilson, our guy over at the Houston Chronicle, joining us at about 9:30 or so to preview that Chiefs-Texans game. Danny Welniak yesterday did a great job breaking down the Chiefs. It turned into a Clyde Edwards-Hilaire love fest for a little bit, but definitely go check out yesterday's archive. And oh, by the way, Monday's episode, John and myself, we did 2 hours of power. We broke down all 32 practice squad rosters. So if you want to know the lowdown on all these guys who will most likely eventually get the call up at some point, the stars of tomorrow, so to speak, go check out Monday's episode. But today we're going to do some season predictions. We'll get into our Heisman Trophy candidates. We'll get into some Rookie of the Year awards. Oh, we might even do our MVP predictions. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. John, we are going to dive into the Heisman Trophy. No, I'm sorry. Wrong day. Wrong rundown. Remix, live TV, NFL predictions, offense and defensive Rookie of the Year, NFL defensive Player of the Year, and an NFL MVP. Before we dive into all of our predictions, how are you this morning? Where would you like to kick it off today?
Boy, that's a mouthful. Certainly a lot going on. At least we heard that it's as bad as what we started off the show with yesterday with Von Miller. At least there's a hint that there's a chance, that late this, could be a 3-4 month if something really works out for him, so at least we got some good news out of that. Unfortunately, it does still look like, one of the NFL's premier players, defensive players, will be, out for the year. So, tragic news on that part. And another day and another couple of guys, hitting the jackpot contract-wise. And we mentioned that off the air. A couple of agencies really making their mark in the past week with getting things done. And if you're a wide receiver or a DB, it seems like, you're able to move the chains, with the contract status of things, but no position has done better for themselves than the tight end position in the past couple of months, as those contracts that have come through probably have caused the disturbance between the Eagles and Zach Ertz. Because, if the person with the best statistical background at the position is not getting offered in the same range as the previous two guys that have signed, it does seem like Zach Ertz will probably play the 2020 season without getting an extension done.
Yeah, so NFL recap right there and an NCAA update since we've covered the COVID on the state of football for so many weeks. This is episode 29 now, part 29 here on September 10th. And David, shout out to the Jermaine Stevens family and their son, Juice Stevens. We all remember Jermaine with his time at the Steelers, but it's just a harsh reality and a wake-up call in terms of how real the COVID is. A big, I think, defensive lineman in his own right, or offensive lineman, heavy guy, 335 pounds, contracts COVID, unfortunately, passes away. And he was going to be a junior or senior at Cal PA. So condolences to the Stevens family. I know, you've kind of been in the forefront here on our panel with the medical perspective. So quick take there.
Well, it's, again, our condolences, our heart, our prayers go out to the family, because it's such a sad thing that, in my opinion, exposure to COVID for football is just unnecessary. As everybody who's followed this and followed me, as they know by now. So as far as, what I think of it is it's a tragedy, but it's, again, right in the wheelhouse what we've been talking about, how people who are obese or have other conditions fall right in line with this COVID extra circumstances hitting them. So, offensive and defensive lines, like we saw at the University of LSU, and we've seen at the University of Oklahoma. Both head coaches have come out and said those units have gotten hit hard with COVID. I mean, that's, again, we're not protecting the big guys, and those are the guys that are more susceptible than any other position group on the field, or the guys in the trenches. And they're also the ones that are droplets are going to exchange the most during the football season, because they're hitting every play, they're firing off on each other every play. That's a position you cannot social distance from. So, for me, it's a sad news, but it's also a reinforcer, or hopefully it's a reinforcement for some of these young people that say they can't get it and they won't die from it. Guys, you can. Are you less likely? Yeah, all the doctors will say you're less likely, but they don't say you're immune from dying from this disease. This is a tragic disease. It's a fatal disease, and people don't want. They say it's no fatal than the flu, but it's more contagious and it is more fatal. I mean, we have 185. I woke up this morning, I think it was 185 Americans dead. I mean, that's just a staggering number. We're on the way to 200. Or is it more now, Rick? So we're on the way to 200. We're approaching 200 Americans dead, and by Christmas time, we could be at 250,000 Americans that have passed away with COVID issues. And I know the naysayers are going to go out there and say, well, other causes, not just the COVID. Well, the same thing with cancer, guys. It's like, if you didn't have cancer, you would still be alive. The cancer contributed to you passing away, or your grandmother passing away, or your grandfather, your son, or whatever passing away. Same thing we're seeing here with COVID. COVID might not be the direct reason, but it is a contributing factor. And without it, those almost 200 million or 200,000 Americans would still be alive.
And there's a wild video going around Twitter right now from the Connecticut high school players yesterday rallying and urging the governor to let them play. And again, you read the comments, this COVID is so divisive, right down the fence, 50-50, 50% people view they're in the right, 50% of people view they're in the wrong. And I think that's the most fascinating thing of this COVID experience. And we've broken it down here on the State of Football. In fact, tomorrow we're going to try to catch up on Hard Knocks, one of the subtle details that I noticed, and we'll compare and contrast how the Chargers and Rams have handled it. But I noticed that when the Chargers did a huddle break or, team breakdown, they're not, joining hands all together. They're just kind of individually putting their hands up, like breaking that way to avoid the contact. And, it goes back to our point, the teams that are ultra cautious and take the necessary steps to remain COVID free could be the last one standing. Oh, by the way, tomorrow we'll have that Super Bowl prediction. I know David's excited for mine. But we got about
You're such a homer.
We've got a few minutes here before our good friend Aaron Wilson from the Houston Chronicle jumps on. Let's dive into Rookies of the Year, right? NFL Draft Bible. We're always breaking down the stars of tomorrow. And for that reason, we'll start off with the rookies. John, Offensive Rookie of the Year prediction. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire, our friend Danny Welniak, stated a heavy case for him yesterday.
Yeah, since she's no longer wearing 89 and she's not eligible, he is the person that I think is going to be, in the forefront of an offense and given a great opportunity the way she mentioned it. You could see with the carries, you could see it with getting the ball out of the backfield. And then the combination of those two things give him the best chance to get double-digit touchdowns. And I think, with their opt-out and, with their schedule – and with, some games where, last year with the stats and the things they put up, the one thing they did see was one time during the year where you had Patrick Mahomes laying on the field, in a prone position. And I think that when they hit kind of hit those games again this season, and it is in the 30s and 40s, will they kind of change course there? Not to just come back on the field, and keep going, juggernaut style, on teams. So could you see a couple of late fourth quarter games, that give him a chance to kind of pad his stats, and I think a guy, even if it's 1,000-yard season, and 500 yards, through the air, that's going to be, I think more than enough, with the offense that he's playing it and the number of high profile games. they're playing in. I think he's the odds-on favorite to me. And then it's not a dark horse by any means, but I think Joe Burrow is going to have a really good shot of surpassing the 25 or 26 touchdown range, which would be as good as anybody's ever done.
Baker Mayfield had 27, the rookie record.
Yeah, so I think he's going to be in that 20s range. I mean, they may not win, they may not be a playoff, quality team this year, but with the receivers he has, and Mixon and Gio Bernard, you get Jonah Williams back. It's like having an extra first-round pick, back on your roster. Like their offense could, surprise and put up some points. So it's very hard to think a quarterback could win it. So I'm going Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but would not be shocking if Burrow puts up in the 20s touchdown-wise. It'll be LSU guys head-to-head.
Okay, very interesting. Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the board. David, quickly before your prediction, can Joe Burrow break that Baker Mayfield rookie touchdown record of 27, in your opinion?
Not from his back, no.
Well, they're going to be playing from behind a lot, right? So he's going to have the opportunity to wing it and fling it.
Yeah, not from his back. No, it's going to be very hard with that offensive line to be able to throw that many touchdowns. I think he'll probably. He's closer to probably the interception record for the rookies from, I think, Peyton Manning his rookie year, because that offensive line to me is going to be one that is going to be struggling for him. And the offensive type, I think, is great for him, but I just don't think they have all the pieces up front to protect him. So then it's going to become an issue. And if they're playing from behind, he's going to have plenty of times to throw the ball, but I think that's just giving defenses more time to pick them off. And again, it's an early season for, like I've been saying, offenses in the first 4 to 6 weeks are going to struggle, especially with rookie quarterbacks and a lot of moving pieces and offensive lines that haven't gelled and meshed yet. I think that, without preseason games, without the full offseason program in person, these units are going to struggle. Once they start to cook and bake and get later, you'll see more, probably more touchdowns and more efficiency from them. It's just early. And again, the thing Baker had was a full offseason and preseason games to kind of figure it out and then move forward. Plus, he had a bunch of talent, in my opinion, around him, where I think John's a little higher of the talent around Joe than I am. I love the running back crew there, but the receivers, tight ends I'm not buying in on that support for him.
Well, fair enough. John sees 28 touchdowns. David sees 28 interceptions. That's what Peyton Manning had his rookie year. So hit us with the offensive prediction for rookie of the year, David.
Well, not so fast there, my friends. We are going to go running back, but we're going to go running back behind an offensive line. One of the best young offensive lines in the league, one of the best young teams in the league, one of the best teams overall in the league. We are bringing in Jonathan Taylor from the Colts all day, baby. The next AP. This guy's going up and down the field on teams. He's going to be running, slashing, and breaking hearts as he does it up and down the field. People should have took him earlier in the draft. They didn't. The Colts were smart enough to jump on this young man and put him in this offense. He is going straight downhill, running on NFL defenses, and he will be the offensive rookie of the year.
Well, you stole my thunder there, David, because I am not only the conductor, but also I'm driving that J train, man. And I'll tell you what, I had a fantasy football draft last night. I took Jonathan Taylor extremely high. In fact, I got both Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I had to take first because so many people are high on him, and Jonathan Taylor. So I'll do something a little bit different. I almost wilted after yesterday's show to convert from Jonathan Taylor to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But for the record, I do think J-Train is really going to not only win Rookie of the Year, I believe you are looking at a future 2,000-yard rusher, which in today's NFL, hard to come by, but I think he's that kind of talent. I'll go with a wild card here. The Raiders, aside from Hunter Renfrow, have nobody else to throw to. So, hey, let's just chuck it up to Henry Ruggs, fling that ball downfield, and be the wide receiver that John Ross was supposed to be, right? And we mentioned the Bengals offense. I know A.J. Green is still banged up. John Ross coming off injury. Tyler Boyd, probably the number one there. Henry Ruggs, as far as I'm concerned, is the number one for the Raiders. And so I think he's going to get plenty of targets. He's going to get plenty of downfield opportunities. And, oh, by the way, he's got those jet fuel rockets on the ankles there. He could dash for 6 anytime he touches the ball. So I'll give you a wide receiver there. I don't think, especially with Herbert and Tua starting on the bench, I don't think a quarterback is going to be an offensive rookie of the year this year. So John goes Clyde Edwards-Helaire. David goes Jonathan Taylor. I go Henry Ruggs. Let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball, John, and tell me who you got there.
Well, this is going to sound like a broken record since the two guys on offense were from the same school and the guy on defense played with them. Patrick Queen.
That's all we get?
All right.
That's all I need to say. I mean,
well, hey.
You were asking for the right – if you're asking for the right answer, I mean, then you two can give your answers, and then we can move on and I can be correct.
Go ahead, David.
Wow, Professor. Okay, all right. You listen. This is the part where the professor is in now. Okay, you listen, young Padawan. You're still learning, so I understand. It's okay, young man. One day you'll figure it out. Just keep plugging away, keep getting it, because one day you'll understand what this is all about. Because there is no other pick, there is no other choice. Chase Young in that defense with the supporting cast around him. That front seven from the Washington football team is ridiculous. And like we've been saying the whole time, it's so impressive, that front seven. Chase Young in his division is not going up against a bunch of world beaters at tackle and offensive line. And this is a freak of nature. You're going to see this guy, boom, just explode and be a difference maker right from the beginning. First game out, you heard it here. John, take your notes, write it down, understand. I'm here now. I got you.
Well, David's going with the chalk, and I'll tell you what, double-digit sacks is a realistic opportunity only because he gets to play the Giants twice a year. I think Chase Young might get 5 sacks just off of the Giants this year. So I think he'll have those.
Guy just taking shots, live fire at the Giants.
Hey,
blackbacks vest on, boys.
I'm just saying, I'm here in Jersey, and this offensive line, it reminds me of the New York subway when I ride the turnstiles. It's like everybody enters, you know what I'm saying? Everybody in, everybody goes. It's like one of those 100-degree days. Don't even pay the fee. Just go right in. It's wide open, we'll see. But I'm going to go somewhere different again, and, I'm going to go a linebacker myself. And this is one of the guys I'm surprised. I don't think we saw one glimpse of Kenneth Murray during Hard Knocks at all. And I think this is a guy that is going to just be a stud. I think 120 tackles this year is realistic. And, to me, Kenneth Murray is a guy that is going to be a household name very quickly here. And so I'm going to go Kenneth Murray. David Turner is going to go Chase Young, and John is going to go Patrick Queen. And in fact, he was so confident, he didn't even provide us with an explanation. So a first here on the State of Football roundtable discussion. So, all right, we got a few minutes. Aaron Wilson's going to hop on here, preview the Chiefs and Texans. We talked Chiefs yesterday, John, but, let's just do a little quick kind of preview here what you're expecting to see. Vegas is expecting to see a high-scoring game, despite what David Turner says on offenses, maybe slow to get out of the gate, but they're anticipating a high-scoring affair, and they're also kind of hinting towards a Chiefs blowout. Your thoughts?
I mean, I think that's my, and from the Vegas standpoint, that's smart, because I think anyone who's, all the average people out there that are looking to get their money in tomorrow, or to make money and wake up tomorrow morning in the positive, I think that's the way that a lot of people are going to go. They're going to think you're going to just see a continuation of what happened after. Very rare in major NFL. You could see it sometimes college and lower. When you're at 24-0 to then lose a game by almost that same amount is a hard thing to accomplish. So your question is, the first quarter and a half of that game, can we see some of that duplicated and then a few stops because of, what David mentioned? There is some moving parts, one change on the O-line, new running back, does it take a little while for the Chiefs to get going? And for the Chiefs to get going, that may still mean they score 25-30, there. Or is it just a continuation of that and we're looking at 42-18 and, and nobody looks back? And I think this is one of the games. There's a number of them on the schedule, this weekend that are more than just week one football games. And I mentioned it, and I'm anxious to hear, somebody who's very outspoken and has covered the Texans for an extremely long period of time, who knows the factor. The Texans win that game, and all it does is keep everybody, who are Texans supporters or Bill O'Brien non-supporters, which you can be on both sides of that fence, in the middle. The Chiefs go out there and stick it to the Texans, and he's already on the clock. He's on the clock as fast as Jay Hobson, and that didn't take too long at Southern Miss. It took 4 quarters of football, for that to happen. But O'Brien is on the clock there, knowing what we think of the Colts, knowing what we've seen out of the Texans, in the past couple of years, and knowing that the Titans now, are sitting in a really prime position with 2 former Texans, Mike Vrabel and Jadeveon Clowney, coming to town, with a team that clearly could be better. And where my worry for them is, you didn't see the pass rush just close the gap in real games recently for the Texans. And their secondary is in the middle of the pack to me. So that's where you wonder, the mistakes they were making on offense, a lot of them were shooting themselves in the foot with penalties, and bad play calling at times, just completely devoid of getting away from the run game and putting it all on Watson. I wonder if Deshaun Watson, not that Hopkins needs any of it, but is Deshaun Watson sending 35% of the money he just got out to DeAndre Hopkins, because that's how much of his career production went to one player. And you love the 4x100 team that they've set up at wide receiver, except for the factor that, boy, those guys are just, they're either 100% or they're 0, right? And I hate having guys like that, because Fuller has to be 100 to play and play well and play confidently. Same with Brandon Cooks. They didn't really hit on Kiki Kute, which I'm right in that mix. I thought he was going to be better than he has been, there. And I'm not sure that the best D Johnson on that roster still isn't Duke Johnson from what we've seen in the past 2 years. So I think that, the blowout part is, like that could or could not happen based on the Chiefs. But for the Texans to think they are really in that mix and it's a 3-man race for that division, I'm not sure that defense is as good as what people still think they are, as opposed to what they really might be right now. I would lean kind of towards that. If it is a blowout, I think it's, like the fourth quarter, there's 10-14 that makes it a blowout at the end. But I'm just not sure they have enough to stop them, on enough of a basis to keep it to where they can play the way they did the first 12 to 15 minutes of that playoff game.
Well, we heard about the Legion of Zoom yesterday, David. Houston kind of trying to assemble. And in fact, I'll say this. On paper, I actually like the Texans wide receiver core more than last year on paper. But to John's point, these guys are always hurt. And O'Brien, he ships out Hopkins. He doesn't want to pay him the money. He pays Watson the money. But now already Brandon Cooks questionable for tonight. It's like, right out the gates, these guys, Fuller always has the hamstring. It's like, I could see Kansas City putting points up early and just cruising to a victory.
Oh, I think Kansas City jumps on them like 24-7 really quick, and then boom, they just start running the ball, and we get that Hilaire love fest going in this game. because at the end of the day, like I think John just alluded, was that on Kansas City side, they have one new offensive lineman. The rest of them all played together. Everybody's been there. And then they pretty much are bringing back the same team. I mean, they're not, and they've added to it. They put nitrous. They haven't lost a lot of parts there. And the one thing I don't like, everybody want to talk about the Texans offense. Okay, it looks good on paper, but that defense, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not as impressed with that defense as I once was. I think that they really have a lot of question marks hanging over key positions there. I'm not sure, but how they're going to generate a pass rush. I don't know. Their linebacker core is really as solid as some have given it credit to be, and I'm not in love with their secondary. And when you're matching up against the Chiefs, who can go 4 or 5 wide and just zoom down the field and release that legion all over them, I think it's going to be hard. And then without preseason games to go back and work the field, and play full speed, it's going to take them a little bit. Where if you got the Chiefs coming off a Super Bowl where, man, it was all clicking. So, for me, I think it is a blowout tonight. I think it's a situation where the Chiefs maybe in the first 4 possessions score points, and then the Texans have to play from behind, and that puts the Chiefs defense in a better position where they can pin their ears back the rest of the game and just go because they know they're going to throw. And like John said, I mean, he talks about Hopkins again. I said it yesterday before Deshaun Watson was there. Hopkins was making other, quarterbacks look good because he's such a wide catch radius and forgiving receiver with way he can adjust and snap and go get the ball out of, or pluck the ball out of the air. So I think, we're going to see what really is Deshaun made of right now when he doesn't have this key weapon in his holster.
Yeah,
we shall see.
Vernon Hargraves on Sammy Watkins. I'll take yes for 200. Yeah. And then the other thing is that, during camp, Lonnie Johnson and Phillip Gaines have rotated having some issues, with injuries. And those are 2 guys, one, a veteran kind of journeyman, what you get out of Gaines, good, steady, but not spectacular. Johnson has that higher kind of grade or upside, to him, based off of his height, weight, speed. But you just look for the matchups and you're saying, they've gotten better and developed a lot of their own guys, right? The Texas kid is now, assumed a starting defensive end position. Brendan Dunn in there, Brendan Scarlett. Like, they've been able to do a good job of fortifying with middle and, later draft pick guys to put around the guys that they're paying. The thing is, really where you want to, unfortunately, take your shots, at some of their guys is that Merciless has to show up. J.J. Watt has to not just be a shadow of that guy. He has to go back to being that guy because, there's a chance right now, and he would hate to hear it, he might be the second best Watt in the family right now. And I'm not saying the fullback is the best one, just so you know.
Hot take.
I mean, hot take, and they play different positions, so don't get me wrong. But if you're taking one guy for this season, regardless of position, are you taking JJ or are you taking the kid from Pittsburgh?
I'm taking the Italian sub in the backyard, and I know what comes on it because, I order at Subway all the time. Actually, I'm a Jimmy John's guy. But anyways, I just had to do that because
Jimmy John's.
Oh, God, Jimmy John's is so good.
Brother, we got to get you back to Jersey and show you a real Italian sub.
I'm talking fast, quick, easy, baby.
Hey, we don't do fast, quick, easy.
He's fooling all of us. He's in Arizona ordering poke bowls. Okay.
Well, hey,
tamales, baby, tamales.
Hopefully, where you're waking up this morning, where you're listening at home, you're waking up to pancakes. We wake up on the State of Football to hot takes each and every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time here with my co-host John Murphy each and every day, brought to you by the NFLDraftBible.com. Make sure you check out all the good stuff we have going on there, whether it's the virtual draft guide, all of our scouting reports, Unlock the Magic. We've got almost 300 scouting reports now available. That number is going to at least double by the time we hit January, and you can gain access to all that information as we build it, as we collect it. And it's not just the scouting, it's the background, it's the medical, it's our conversations that we're having with the schools, with the coaches, with the players. And oh, by the way, I know I get hit up a lot by the agent community. Are you back with the NFLPA Bowl? I've tried to get back to you as many as possible. Yes, I will be back with the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. So we will have another roster and more details to be announced there. So I'm excited about that. We've kind of dove into our preseason watch list. You can go to collegiate.nflpa.com for our watch list there. And oh, by the way, one of our coaches out there at the NFLPA Bowl was Bob Wiley, offensive line guru, also a Hard Knocks alumni, a CFL alumni. Where hasn't Bob Wiley been? I don't know if you guys have had a chance to work with him at all during your careers, but
a Raider, baby, he's a Raider.
Did you get a chance to, take us behind the scenes with Bob Wiley? It's going to be the great thing about Bob is he just continuously makes you laugh as he educates you.
What's great about Bob Wiley is that he's not just all about perfection. He's about production. So it's like, it might not look pretty, but did that lineman block and make sure his responsibility didn't get to the quarterback or didn't get to the running back? Okay, it's not pretty. We'll fix it. But he doesn't jump on the guy because it's not perfect. And that's what I love about him. He helps build confidence in young men that sometimes maybe have come from programs that have gotten beaten down all their lives, and now he can build the confidence back up. He's an amateur magician, and he's a guy who brings that to the locker room and into the meeting rooms too, to keep the mood going, to keep an interest going. I think as a teacher, Bob is really excellent because he knows how to get players engaged and consistently pushing forward to become better, but understand perfection is not something he's looking for. It's the production to make sure that you have the want to keep your quarterback upright is very important to him. And everything else he'll teach you and figure it out.
Set Hut. Make sure you tune in. He'll be joining Brian Baldinger, who's also a former offensive line. So those two guys will have our offensive line seminar. I shot a text out to Aaron Wilson. I know it's a busy morning here for him with Thursday night football. Just, oh my God, 12 hours away. All right, so if we get Aaron, we'll pop him on, fellas. Make sure you go register for that O-line seminar. And, oh, by the way, Friday Night Scout School, each and every Friday, we broke down that Buda Baker that David Turner was talking about. We also broke down Jamal Adams coming out of college. And this week we are doing cornerbacks quickly there. David, who are some of the corners that you guys are going to be breaking down this Friday, tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, we will be breaking down the shutdowns, the island guys, the hula men. We are bringing out the big guns, Lattimore, Slay, and I believe the third one will be, oh, goodness, who was the third one? Oh, that's right, the guy who just got paid, Jalen Ramsey. So we will be bringing the big guns. We'll be going to show you what a press corner looks like, more of a zone nickel style guy, and another man-to-man style corner, because that seems to be who's getting paid and everything else. So it's going to be exciting. Again, it's a major position. It's a cornerstone in all defenses. So to learn how to break them down and for us, as we've been teaching, as you guys know, it's how the certain traits fit into the schemes, because every defensive coordinator has a different scheme. So we want to teach you how to fit different traits into different schemes and understand that's how they get valued on the draft board, or that's how they get valued in a free agent board and stuff like that. Because, at Friday Night Scout School, it's not just about breaking down the tape. It is also understanding the decision-making.
Yeah, we've got at least another 15 seminars between now and December, so make sure you sign up for the all-access season pass, save some money, get educated, enhance your scouting eye, and you'll be as sharp as David Turner one day learning from this guy. So, all right, guys, I don't know if we'll have Aaron Wilson. We'll see. I'm going to jump into Heisman Trophy predictions. And I'm going to lead this one off because I know we were supposed to have this tomorrow, but I'm moving it to today only for one reason. I don't want you guys to think I'm a bandwagon. And there is a college football game in action tonight. It's UAB at Miami. And I believe the Heisman Trophy is in action tonight. His name, Derrick King. And so, I know he had about 6 passing touchdowns and, maybe 3 or 4 rushing touchdowns the other day during that Miami scrimmage. I think this Hurricane team has dealt with some offseason adversity already, not just with the COVID, but Manny Diaz. He goes up to Temple, becomes head coach for a day. Next day, leaves back to Miami. Oh, by the way, we'll bring Quincy Roach down from Temple to the U. And Derrick King is going to be a fascinating case study because just like Kyler Murray a year ago, where they were saying, hey, this guy, and even Baker Mayfield 2 years ago, this guy's too small. And then he comes out and wings it and flings it all around the field. When you look at his style of play, I believe that it's going to be very enticing. Now, unfortunately, the latest measurement that we have here at the NFL Draft Bible is 5'8", 5'8", and 5/8 inches. So under 5'9", could we really see an NFL quarterback that small? Well, hey, I remember talking to Coach Gruden a couple years ago, John Gruden that is, and he said, listen, I used to have all these criterias of what I want in a quarterback, and he had to have all these check marks. And you go back to the Bill Parcells kind of criteria of what a NFL quarterback needs to have. All that's out the window, he says. I mean, it's just really transformed around the league what an NFL quarterback could be. Now, I'm not going to go out and say that Derrick King is going to play quarterback at the next level, but I am going to go on the record and say he is my 2020 Heisman Trophy prediction. And again, UAB is playing Miami tonight. So you have a double dose of football action, one on the collegiate side, one on the pro side. And now we go over to the best side, John Murphy with this Heisman Trophy prediction.
Oh, I figure you were going to go to Turner, since then you two could make your picks and then I could give the correct answer as usual. So there's like I said, there's a trend. You should follow it. Gave it to you for the first two. Gave you even a drop back third guy, could have been. And now there's a guy for this category too. Now, I like that one because I saw that kid play in one of the most exciting games of last year on a Thursday night when Houston and Tulane ran up and down the field, scoring 50-yard touchdowns on each other, for 4 quarters. And he is a dynamic kid on his own. And now when you put him in a feature team like the Hurricanes, he really could do what you're saying. The question is, how will he play in those 3 really big games? Because that's the difference maker. If he can go, I don't think they have to win the game, but can he go and outperform Trevor Lawrence in a game? Because he doesn't have to be the rest of his guys. He just has to do it to make it be a 4-quarter game. And then I think he's in the mix. The second guy I think has a great shot if the Big 12 plays is Spencer Rattler could come out of nowhere and light up the season for Oklahoma because, well, every quarterback that plays there and is going to play in that system could be listed as a Heisman candidate the same way that Tom Osborne used to say, hey, like next year's, Big 12, all conference team always had a Nebraska lineman, and they'd ask Tom Osborne, who's it going to be? And he said, it doesn't matter. There'll just be one guy on there because there always was. That's how confident, Lincoln Riley and the people at Oklahoma are that literally whoever they have as their quarterback is a Heisman Trophy candidate. I'm going to pick a guy that will likely score an offensive touchdown, a defensive touchdown, and a special teams touchdown this year. And that is a future top 5 pick in the draft, Derrick Stickley.
You're such a homer, John. I mean, we got to get you. I know you're excited to be back in Louisiana, but I mean, we got to get you and David out here to the great island of the Jersey Shore, man, and switch it up.
Island.
So John's gonna go Stingley, who is not draft eligible, I don't believe, this year. Correct? No. He's still got another year to go.
He's got 2 Heismans he can win.
Well, that would be something now, because Charles Woodson is the last defensive guy to win a Heisman, and Stingley would be an incredible story. I'm not going to put it past that young man. He's a heck of a talent. So I go Derrick King, the Houston transfer to the Hurricanes. John goes with another LSU guy in Derrick Stingley, and David Turner. Drum roll, please. Bop.
There's a young running back that I'm kind of early infatuated with as we go through this process. I haven't dived into the college season yet because of everything going on with the pros and stuff. But this young running back out of the University of Clemson, Travis Etienne, if I'm saying that right.
Etienne.
Etienne. So Etienne is somebody I think is in the mix. I think with all the attention that Trevor Lawrence is getting, he's going to be overlooked. He's going to put up some gaudy numbers. And I think, what I've read on him, he's a good young man. So I think he's exactly what the Heisman candidate people are looking for and the committee's looking for this year. And if he puts up those numbers on that offense and in this season, he's going to be right there in the conversation.
And
I actually considered him significantly. I think he's going to be in the mix. He's going to be in for an incredible season. And wouldn't it be something if the running back from Clemson instead of the quarterback from Clemson wins the Heisman Trophy? So the state of football here, September 10th, 2020, 9:45 a.m. We've got a few more minutes to play around with. Let's go over to NFL predictions, NFL Defensive Player of the Year, and then we'll wrap it up with the MVP. David, we'll start off with you for the NFL Defensive MVP.
Well, I think this is a fun conversation. I think there's a lot of young and aggressive talent in the NFL right now that there's going to be a lot of candidates up for it. But I think who nudges them out based on the division he's in and based on the his ability to get to the quarterback is Joey Bosa. I think Joey Bosa is healthy. He's primed for success, and he's got a schedule lined up in front of him that he can really take advantage of. I think that's a young team that has a lot of good parts, and Joey Bosa is going to be the cornerstone for years to come as they invested in him this year. And I think you'll see Joey Bosa move his game to the next level and be the Defensive Player of the Year this year.
Okay, I mean, hey, nothing wrong with going with one of the Bosa brothers. David with a little Ohio State love this morning, going with Chase Young earlier. So we got some Ohio State LSU rivalry going on. John, tell me you got an LSU player here for your Defensive Player of the Year.
And we can hit another one. And probably a favorite. The new Legion of Boom, led by Jamal Adams. And it's really to see the face that you'll see when he accepts that award and thanks Jets head coach or former Jets head coach by then for sending him to the exact right place to be. And again, I think we're when you look at the teams, you got to look at what the guy can do and in what games they're going to be playing. If you can help lead that team with 2 games with the Niners, with the games there, still with the Rams, but also, those Kyler Murray games are going to be exciting, and ones that captivate your audience. I mean, for Seattle to win that division or really be a credible Super Bowl contender, it really is going to be that Russell Wilson has to be a top 5 candidate for Player of the Year, MVP, and that Jamal Adams has to have the impact that everyone is thinking he's going to have. And if you can put up those kind of numbers, Stephen Gilmore, is a perfect example. You can be a non-pass rusher. You can be a back end guy and win, but you're going to have to, put up those kind of numbers and put up those kind of big plays. And I think the way that they plan to use him gives him a really good shot of putting up one of those Brian Dawkins, Ed Reed, type seasons where the tackles are there, sacks, interceptions, and a couple of big plays, on Sunday night or Monday night football that give him a real shot to do it. And I say in a division where you're playing against teams that are going to give the Seahawks defense every opportunity to be the difference maker and put them, in the driver's seat, for a real playoff shot, if not even winning that division. Jamal Adams has to be that guy in order for it to work.
Well, I would not doubt it. and I think he's going to make all kinds of plays in that Seahawks defense. I do see a lot of turnovers for Jamal Adams. Stay tuned for our MVP selection because that's coming up next. Maybe John can pull out another LSU guy out of his hat. He goes Jamal Adams. David goes Joey Bosa. I'm going to go with another guy here that switched teams during the offseason. I think it's kind of flown under the radar somewhat because it happened so early in the offseason. And he's just a couple seasons away from 14.5 sacks. That's Calais Campbell at the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Ravens have a chance to be the best defense in the league. I believe this is a team that could go 14-2, 15-1 possibly. And I think the leadership and the play of Calais Campbell, I think he could lead the league in sacks this year. I know our guy Ryan is in the chat room thinking I was going to go Chandler Jones and my upstart Arizona Cardinals, but I'm going with another former Cardinal in Campbell, and he's a Grizzly veteran now. I mean, I'm looking up his career stats. This guy's been around a long time. His first year was back in 2008. So he's been around the block, but he's also got 88 career sacks, and I believe he's going to be a big difference maker and really provide a missing piece that the Ravens haven't had in these, playoff outings these past couple seasons. So again, Bosa, Adams, Campbell for your NFL Defensive Player of the Year. And down the stretch they come. Tomorrow we'll have our Super Bowl predictions. Today we have our MVP selections. And boy, oh boy, David Turner, I'm excited to know who you have.
Well, listen here, fellas. I mean, we can just, you don't have to say the best for last. Just get it out of the way right up front. It's fine. It's good. It's good. Just get me done. But what I'm going to tell you, there's going to be some, there's going to be some gaudy numbers from guys like Mahomes and Breeze. There's going to be some gaudy numbers coming with offense, I think, in the first 4 weeks or so when it comes to, the veteran quarterbacks. But the one I'm hanging my hat on, the one I think that's going to pull it away and be just what the NFL is looking for, spokesman-wise, personality-wise, and, oh, yeah, by the way, he's going to be in the mix for this. I think he's going to win the league MVP, Russell Wilson. I think Russell is primed and ready. I think that Seahawks offensive line has gotten improved, and I believe that the Seahawks are going to be winning their division, taking it back over from the Niners, and moving forward deep into the playoffs. I really like what I see there. Like John was saying, the defense is tailor-made now. It's exactly what they're looking for. They have great personnel across the board. So for me, I think the Seahawks are going to be like a 13-3 style team, and Russell Wilson's going to end up winning the league MVP.
Well, I'm going to stay right there in the NFC West, and I'm not going to give you Chandler Jones, but I'll stay on the offensive side. David Turner's favorite player. I'm going with the people's champ, Kyler Murray. I think this guy is going to take the league by storm this year. You saw me with our predictions on Monday's show. I've got the Cardinals winning that wild, wild west, and I think it's going to be close. And Kyler Murray is going to not the Pro Bowl, but the All-Pro team. Yeah, and so me and Turner already have the side bet. He's not a believer. I am. And, hey, we'll come back in January and recap the predictions. But I am going to go Kyler Murray. I think there's 40-plus passing touchdowns and maybe close to 5,000 passing yards this year in Kyler Murray's future. So I'm going Kyler Murray. David Turner's going Russell Wilson. John Murphy is going Danny Etling.
Yeah, there's not an LSU guy, and I'm not a believer. I think there's a chance Drew Brees could walk off into the sunset, but it won't be as league MVP, so he may never earn that distinction. There's a number of different ways I think you could go with this, especially when we're all probably considering quarterback as the functional, person there. Be easy to go Dak Prescott, keep the SEC bandwagon rolling all the way through the selections. I'm going to go with another guy, not on the young side of the equation, but a player far on the other side of the ledger and someone who also has not come away with the league MVP, but will at least get his shot to put himself into that range, I believe, this year with the club that he's on, thanks to the head coach and GM that he has. And I think this is, if you're saying the MVP of his team, this guy has an excellent chance of being the reason why this club goes from where they were to where they could be headed, and that is one Philip Rivers. And I think the Colts to win that division has to come because that's what you see. And it's a far stretch to say it's not going to get him in the, in the Peyton Manning, scenario. It's not going to get him into, being thought of much more than what he is. But to be in that same class, as his two compadres that have won these awards and have gone to the Super Bowl, Rivers knows this is his best and possibly best last chance to do it with the Colts team that has two running backs. By the way, Marlon Mack's on line one for both of you. Has T.Y. Hilton healthy for right now, has tight end play that can get him what he's looking for in terms of what he likes. And I think the turnovers were part of that process the last couple of years in San Diego, where he was fighting himself and fighting the inevitable, which was the end of the line. And now when you're putting an offense with a much better offensive line, a run game, Frank Reich, and that defense, he has a real shot of being the reason why they can go from having the roster that they now have to being a double-digit win team and having a real shot there, that if they can be a home, have a home playoff game, if you could somehow get a record that's equal or better than those other teams and not end up in Buffalo for a playoff game and steer away from, Kansas City, I think Rivers has an excellent chance of being in the mix for this, and it is something different, right? I mean, it gives you – it's just a different spin on the way the season can go, because Dak Prescott has a chance to put up a whole lot of stats, but we've also seen the Cowboys, and the Cowboys MVP is going to be Mike McCarthy if it all works. Right. Because it just means that he's the guy calling the shots, just like what it turned out to be with Sean Payton, and things. The same thing there in Tennessee. If it works, the MVP is not going to be Tannehill or Henry. It's Mike Vrabel, because he's the difference maker, on the field. Philip Rivers, as a veteran, going there with that team, he has, I think, the best chance of being that type of guy. We hear, that kind of last hurrah, out of it. And I just can't bring myself to think the Buffalo Bills or the Buffalo Ralph Ventries, are gonna make it all the way to the finish line. So gotta hope that Philip Rivers has one more big season in him. And it really boils down to the factor of believing in that whole organization, that they have built this the right way, that if you throw an average Philip Rivers season in there, they have a real shot to be in the final three teams in the AFC. And I think that gets Philip Rivers a lot of the kudos that maybe have gone to the other guys, in the league, because he's kind of the guy that's still there, and there's, Roethlisberger coming back, and he'd be a dark horse choice to do this same thing. But I think it'd be great to see Philip Rivers kind of get his due when you look at the numbers he's put up and you get him onto that stage one last time. It'd be interesting to see, a guy at Rivers' advanced age be in this mix, and it's just too easy to pick Drew Brees or Dak Prescott or Patrick Mahomes. So we finally make our way out of the SEC and over to the ACC and give Philip Rivers a little bit of love, and NC State might get themselves finally a MVP quarterback.
I'm just glad we got out of LSU. I mean, geez. Murphy just right there at home just sits there and he pops bonbons and watches LSU and picks those players. So, that's just – I'm just glad we got out of the state of Louisiana with Murphy's pick.
Well, I'll tell you, the humidity here in Jersey is rivaling the humidity down there in New Orleans. I will say, maybe tomorrow when you tune in, that could have been a little foreshadowing with John's Super Bowl prediction. We shall see. We shall see. But I do like the pick. And, for those fantasy football players, I don't know if you have a draft out there tonight. I mean, I was in a 16-team league. All of a sudden, I found myself in the 14th round. I still hadn't taken a quarterback. Who falls into my lap? Phillip Rivers, 4,600 passing yards last year. Unbelievable. And I do think the interceptions, because I think that he led the league or came close to leading the league in interceptions. I do think that was a product of him trying to do too much and put the team on his back. And, he's got the cast there to do it. I'm excited to see it. I could see the Colts making a big run here. And that's been another hour of power here on the State of Football. We'll be back tomorrow. But before we do have some parting shots. David Turner, Maverick Sports Consulting. Of course, Mav Sports Take podcast. I had a chance to catch some of the live stream the other day. I have it on my to-do list to download and listen to it today, David. But what is on that Mav Sports Take podcast for the people that want to listen at home?
Yeah, no, it was exciting. We had I always mess up his name. I'm sorry for this. Monty Edwards on there recapping the big house upset from App State. And, he really went with our theme of being unmuzzled. We talked social injustice. We talked about college football. We talked about a whole lot of great things to get a player's perspective on what the world of football and what's going on right now. And then, Ryan and I dived in deep into the roster breakdowns and who are predictions for some upcoming games and everything for this weekend. So Mav Sports Take's been an incredible journey so far. If you haven't caught the early episodes, go back, listen to them. But on tap for tomorrow night, like you said, Friday Night Scout School, we have corners. If you've always wanted to learn what it takes to be a shutdown corner, come buy the a la carte, catch the fever, get the season pass, take the dive with us, because again, like you said, Rick, we still have offense, special teams to break down, and all the defense is going to be in the books tomorrow night. But you can go back and listen to those episodes. It's been an exciting time at both those places, and Mav Sports Take it's just taken off.
Yeah, and we're excited to have you back here in the saddle with us again here on the State of Football. David Turner, Monty Edwards taking us to the Wayback Machine, 13-year anniversary the other day when the Appalachian State Mountaineers upset those Michigan Wolverines. I remember watching it live, and John will dive into some game predictions as well here tomorrow, some games of the week. We'll have some more predictions, and finally, people have been holding their breath, waiting in anticipation for our Super Bowl predictions.
Yeah, absolutely. And tonight, the 27th year, Mitch Holthus will be calling Chiefs football. So you should get you ready to hear him say touchdown Chiefs probably about another 50 to 60 times, and hopefully not all of them will happen this evening to the poor Texans. But got a feeling if you're looking to hear a great voice and a great guy, you might want to tune down the television, tune up the radio. The one best thing we know about football being back this year is, thank God Almighty, that McFarland is out of the booth. If we figured out one thing to do in the past calendar year to improve the state of football, it was to get Booger McFarland as far away from a microphone as humanly possible. So Monday Night Football, once again, is something that you want to tune into and not have to turn the audio down to mute.
The poor Boogie Woogie. Oh, man. Who are the
Homer all the time? See that? There's an LSU guy that just can't get it done.
There you go. Pardon my ignorance. Who are the Monday Night Football broadcast team? Does anybody know?
Well, I think they not make it be the former GM guy that does the shows.
Is it Louis Riddick?
Louis Riddick.
I think he's one. Yeah,
right.
We'll have to find out and discuss that more.
Riddick, and is it Brian Greasy or is it
Dan Orlovsky?
I hope not.
Hey, we're running out of time, just like Dan Orlovsky's running out of the end zone here on the State of Football. We'll be back tomorrow to break it all down. Shout out to our guest who couldn't make it today, Aaron Wilson. We still got love for you.
Much David like his playing career, he should turn that job over.
David Turner, Maverick Sports Consulting, John Murphy and Rick Saratella here on the NFL Draft Bible. It's football. It's here, baby. We're 11 hours away. We'll see you tomorrow.